Pumpkin and the Beast. Written and illustrated by Amanda Goodman. In a faraway pumpkin patch grew many ginormous, fat, round, lusciously orange pumpkins. The biggest, most handsome, was the prince of the pumpkins named Jared. He was also the most selfish and conceited pumpkin of the patch. One day, a rather ugly and weary traveler came by, asking for their hospitality for the night. Appalled by the traveler's looks, the prince sent him away with nothing. As the traveler turned to leave, he warned the prince to find the pumpkin-manity in him, but to no avail. Still the prince sent him off. Suddenly, the tattered clothes of the traveler transformed into billowing vines and the most radiant hue of orange ever seen by the pumpkins. The traveler had changed into a magnificent pumpkin king. You will become the creature you test in order to learn that the value of each pumpkin does not depend on what he appears on the outside, but who they are inside. The booming voice of the magnificent king continued, "If you want to look once again as you do now, you must make your inside character match the looks you desire, and find a pumpkin who can love you for who you are. You have until the witching hour of midnight on Halloween." Then the air sparkled, and the once good-looking prince changed into the blackest raven. Gone were his radiant orange skin and his luster. Embarrassed by how he looked, he sent all of his visitors away. Halloween was merely a month away. How could he find a pumpkin who would love him while he looked like he did? Then, from outside the window, he heard a great commotion. At the gate of the pumpkin patch, yet another guest arrived. A man and his daughter were journeying when the father got sick and needed a place to recover. The pumpkin patch protocol was, by order of the prince, as with the old traveler, that those who are ugly or not well were not welcome. However, the prince remembered the traveler and decided that perhaps they should help this little family. Rushing outside, he stopped his guard from throwing them out and said to find them a place to recuperate. As the guard led them away, the prince had a new feeling inside. It was warm and felt good. Maybe helping people out was kind of nice after all. The next day, the school needed volunteers to help with the Halloween program and sent a messenger to the castle. Before the traveler had come, the prince would have sent them off, saying, "What business have they bothering someone so cool as the prince?" But now he thought, perhaps this too could help break the curse, and so the prince offered his help. They needed a horrendously ugly pumpkin to be the wizard in the Halloween play, and even though it hurt his pride to do so, the prince offered to be it. After practice, he turned to go back up to the palace and bumped into another pumpkin volunteering with the play. Her name was Rochelle. She said, "I have to thank you for letting my father and I come into your pumpkin patch the other day. I understand it is not often you allow it, and my father was so sick. I am very grateful." Ashamed now for his previous actions and all the wanderers he had turned away when they might have needed help, he looked away. He wanted to apologize for rarely helping, so he turned back and told her. Then, since she and her father were staying at the palace, he asked her if she'd like to walk back with him. She said yes, and they walked back together, talking and joking and laughing. The prince was amazed that she would even talk to him when he looked like he did. Perhaps, he thought, the traveler was right. There is much more to a person than how they look on the outside. As they said goodbye, the prince asked her if she'd want to go eat together the next day. She said she would, and from there on they continued to get to know each other by playing games and talking and working with the children in the school play, and spending time together. Soon it was All Hallows Day, or Halloween. The prince became thoughtful. He now knew that looks didn't matter, but he wanted to be a pumpkin again, and he didn't know if anyone loved him for just being him, enough to break the spell. But tonight was the play, and one way or another he was going to enjoy it, and so he donned his costume and made his way to the theater. The play went great! All the pumpkins had fun performing and watching. At the end, Rochelle came over to say great job to Jared. At the same time, a group of young pumpkin performers ran over and hugged their prince. "We love you," they cried. "Happy Halloween!" The prince stared in surprise, and then he saw the air sparkle around him, and poof! He turned back into his pumpkin self. He was so excited he laughed out loud, and then his people cheered. He looked over at Rochelle, she smiled at him, and they leaned in for a pumpkin kiss. All the pumpkins lived happily ever after, opening their pumpkin patch to travelers of all kinds, offering them a good meal and a place to rest. And they grew the very orangest pumpkins ever. The end.